Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, two conversations. Up first, I think the general consensus is that Detroit, Motown, is on the rebound, certainly economically. And they have just elected the first woman mayor, a black woman named Mary Sheffield, to lead the city into the future. But UMass anthropology professor Nicholas Caverly has written a book which challenges that notion. The book is titled Demolishing Detroit, How Structural Racism Endures. And so we will talk with Professor Caverly about Detroit, and more broadly, I think, about how infrastructural systems maintain a level of white supremacy even today within black communities. That's on the backside of hour two. I should say at the top of hour two. On the B side of hour two.
Wind gusts as high as 99 miles per hour fueled new destructive wildfires in the Los Angeles area overnight. You can see how the extreme winds had embers racing through this neighborhood in the Pacific Palisades. Homes and businesses burned to the ground as tens of thousands of people scrambled to evacuate, many abandoning their cars. At least 3 fires are burning in the LA area by early Wednesday with 0% containment.
1 year ago today, the greater Los Angeles area was engulfed by wildfires. Specifically, the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire burned 14,000 acres and killed 19 people, but hundreds more have died since then from a myriad of maladies. We will talk to Altadena residents James Farr and Andrew Wessels on the backside of hour two. James is, of course, my colleague here at KBLA Talk 1580 in Los Angeles, host of our weekly program Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. And Andrew is strategy director for the Eaton Fire Survivors Network. They have strong criticisms of the folk who started this fire, Southern California Edison, in their report called Wildfire Recovery Compensation Program. I am thrilled that our morning show team this morning, I had a chance to hear a lot of it, 3 hours. We broadcast live today from Altadena. If you're in the Southern California area or listening to us on the app around the world, you heard my colleagues Dominic DePrima and James Farr broadcast an amazing program today, 3 hours from the Altadena area, specifically at Perry's Joint in Pasadena. But the voices of all of these persons 1 year later was just arresting and frankly emotional to listen to. Over 70% of folk in Altadena have still not settled with their insurance companies a year later. And the numbers of what Edison has done or not done is pretty astounding as well. We'll talk about that with Andrew when he joins us alongside James on the backside of hour two. But a sad day 1 year later when you consider what little recovery has actually taken place. It's really tragic. In our third hour, a conversation with the author of the classic text, Success Runs in Our Race, Dr. George Fraser, whose insights will get you ready to make the most of this year, will be with us again in our final hour today when he talks about the 7 critical currencies of life. The 7 critical currencies of life. If you've never heard Dr. George Fraser in person or on this program, do yourself a favor. At the onset of this new year, do not miss our final hour today when Dr. George Fraser joins us for the hour. But we commence today's show talking politics and more with Adrianne Shropshire, executive director of the political organization BlackPack and host of her own radio show called The BlackPack here at my home station, KBLA Talk 1580. I didn't plan it that way, but colleagues everywhere today in this 3-hour program. But they are among the best voices in the country. They all have national stature. They just happen to be on my station here in L.A. Adrianne, as I mentioned, runs the BlackPack. It is one of the foremost political organization serving black people in the country, and I'm honored to have her as a friend, as a colleague, and honored to have her live in studio right now. Adrianne, Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year. I am doing good.
Let me start with this. I was just thinking as I was talking about Altadena 1 year later, and we'll get into this. I'm glad you're here for the hour. A lot to unpack, and Donald Trump has made some more stupid statements since I was here yesterday. He has also said that if he does not win re-election, he's throwing down the gauntlet. He said yesterday, if I don't win re-election, the Democrats are going to impeach me. Yeah. I mean, if I don't win re-election, if Republicans, that is, don't hold on to the House and the Senate, you know what I meant by that. If Republicans don't keep the House and Senate, Democrats are going to impeach me. He was crying about that yesterday. We'll let Adrianne talk about that when we come forward. But I'm watching my clock. Let me just do this. When we come forward, I want to start with this. We know that old adage that when white folk get a cold, we get pneumonia. You heard me mention earlier, we're going to talk about Detroit and what's really happening or not happening with recovery there, and how it's impacting black folk in particular, and how structural racism continues to hold black people down, even as white people are buying everything in Detroit. So this happens all the time. But I want to just, I think, frame our conversation, at least at the outset, getting your thoughts about how we, as black people, navigate the crisis that this country is in right now. It's one thing for all of us to be, frankly, sick and tired of being sick and tired of seeing and hearing from Donald Trump. But there's a particular and unique way, of course, that we, black people, find ourselves in harm's way and have to figure out how we're going to navigate this. And I don't just mean domestically, internationally as well, right? These issues matter to us as well. So there's a lot to talk about. Adrianne Shropshire, again, is the right person to have on today, given that she runs the BlackPack. And again, nobody's doing better work, better research, better outreach to black folk on political issues across the nation than Adrianne's organization. So we're going to have a great hour when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. For 40 years, I have had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, the privilege of sitting down with presidents, world leaders, authors, artists, activists, the folk who shape our world. Thousands of conversations, tens of thousands of questions. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the art of conversation is dying. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I am now going to teach what these almost 40 years have taught me, how to have conversations that matter. 6 courses, from the anatomy of a great conversation to generous listening as a superpower to handling difficult exchanges without losing your dignity or your mind. Go to tavistalks.com right now. That's tavistalks.com. Download the free guide, see what's coming, sign up to be the first to know when we launch the series. Conversation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught. I'll see you in class.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
Picture this, you're on a date, and then bad breath happens. Confidence gone. Here's the truth. Most gums and mints are just bad breath Band-Aids, but not Zellman's Minty Mouth. The functional breath freshener you swallow. Tiny dual-action capsules with mint on the outside, parsley seed oil inside, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders, even garlic and onions. It's only available online. Go to Zellmans.com, Zelmins, Zellmans.com, code FRESH for 15% off.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Adrianne Shropshire, host of the BlackPack radio show and executive director of the organization called the BlackPack. Delighted to have her on to kick us off today in hour one. So Connie Rice, my regular contributor, you all know, often talks about making sure we get our frame right. The conversation doesn't mean much if you're in the wrong frame. And so I start by asking Adrianne Shropshire that Connie Rice question. To your mind, politically, what frame are we in? Black people, what frame are we in right now?
Well, I mean, I feel like when I'm on the air, I'm always bringing bad news the second that, that we come on the air.
Yeah. You crack the mic, you got bad news.
Right. And that is because we're in a we're in a bad place. I was thinking earlier, I am a Stranger Things fan.
Oh, yeah.
And so I feel like we're just making our way through the upside down.
Yeah.
Because the reality for Black people, and I think for all Americans really, but I think you said, before the break, this idea that when America gets a cold, we get pneumonia, right? And so when we think about all of the indicators that we might measure how we are doing in this country, it's all trending downward when we think about the economy. And we know that the Trump administration has essentially collapsed our economy in so many ways. And what that has meant for Black folks, we know that 600,000 Black women are out of the workforce since January. We know that the unemployment rate for Black folks just continues to climb. We have 30% unemployment for Black teenagers. These numbers are insane. We know that we are watching the unraveling of every civil rights gain that we ever won. We know that the Supreme Court is making decisions right now about the Voting Rights Act that could fundamentally reshape the Confederate States in terms of Black representation and Black political participation. So we are in a moment that is, I think, what our elders, right, what the civil rights legacy generation, would be and are, right, shocked by. The good news, I think, is that if any people in America understand how to navigate American-style authoritarianism, it is Black people, both because we've lived it. So I'm always surprised when people say authoritarianism has come to America. No, we actually don't need to look to Hungary to understand what authoritarianism. We don't need to look to Russia, right? We don't need to look to European history to understand what is happening in America right now, because we can look to our own history, and Black people have navigated that for as long as we have been here. And so I think that is part for us as a community, understanding that, getting clear about where we are so that we can get clear about what it's going to take to get out of this moment.
You mentioned Stranger Things, and two things came to mind the minute you said it. So I think let me just pivot for a second here. Just a quick aside. So I was just reading, literally in the last 48 hours, because of Stranger Things, Prince's catalog has gone through the roof.
Yes.
Everybody's downloading Prince stuff again because of, I have not seen Stranger Things.
Okay.
But whatever it is,
yes.
I'll have Adrianne tell me about it during the commercial break. But whatever it is, so what's the Prince connection? Just tell me that right quick.
It's a stunner. So at the end of the show, the last episode, the last two songs, I think, are Prince songs. Is When Doves Cry and Purple Rain.
Okay.
I know I jumped up out, oh my God. Yeah.
So I get it now. So I didn't know what that was about, but my phone's been pinging.
But I don't think I've ever heard those songs in a movie before in that way, right?
Well, he was very very judicious about licensing. As a matter of fact, quick Prince story. Since you went there, I'll follow you. We'll get back to Black people in a second here. Well, Prince is a Black person.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the best, as a matter of fact. But Prince was very judicious about licensing. As a matter of fact, the only thing that I ever recall him licensing was Little Red Corvette. And you can imagine who he licensed it to. And one night over dinner, we had a long conversation about the mistake he felt he made licensing that song to Chevrolet. He did it one time and never did it again. Now, there are many other artists, and I ain't mad at him, There are many other artists who license stuff from their catalog all the time to pretty much everything. I think some people license too much of their stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And ultimately, I think it damages the credibility, the integrity of the music. And I don't want to be Puritan about this, but Prince would not do that. He did it one time for a little record. But now Prince is dead. His estate is being run by somebody else now, and so the estate makes its own choices. And I understand that their choices post his death are different than choices he might have made during his lifetime, because they got to keep that legacy alive.
Yeah.
So I want to save some space for grace for the foundation, and for the trust, I should say, that may be doing things that Prince would not have done in his lifetime. And everybody knows Prince and I were very good friends. The other thing about Stranger Things is that it just so happened, and they are thrilled. I heard from them yesterday. So as you know, Prince gifted me the guitar. Speaking of Purple Rain, the guitar that he played at the Super Bowl. Yeah. So he's at Super Bowl. I still think the best halftime show ever. But he's playing Super Bowl in Miami. The last song, speaking of Stranger Things, the last song being Purple Rain, the last song he plays at halftime is Purple Rain. For you Prince fans, you football fans, you'll recall he was playing Purple Rain in Miami at the game. And while he was playing, it started raining. You couldn't have played the city better. He's playing his purple cymbal guitar. He's doing Purple Rain. It starts raining. He pulls off his do-rag. He throws it into the audience. He kills Purple Rain. And that guitar is the guitar he gifted me.
That's amazing.
And so the Met in New York City is doing a huge exhibit this summer. I'm saying stuff now that they ain't even said yet. I may be putting their business out. But they called me some time ago, and they've been begging me for a while. So I've agreed to loan the guitar to the Met. For an exhibit that will be at the Met all summer long in New York City, of course. And so they're thrilled that Stranger Things has put him back on the map.
Yeah.
And they will have that guitar, courtesy of my collection, this summer at the Met in New York City.
Well, I'm excited about that.
Yes, I got to go to New York and see it once they get it
I
into
absolutely am going. But I think that's, I mean, there is I don't want to stay on the Prince thing for too long, but I do think that there is, it really was a moment. I was shocked to hear the song because I know that that's just not how he rolled.
That's how he rolled, exactly.
But it does say something about our ongoing and continued sort of cultural, the impact of Black culture in the society and the degree to which Americans in general and people around the world relate to that. And I think that we see that even now when as we're talking politics, right? In this, and I don't know if you want to get into the Venezuela situation, but you have like Marco Rubio saying, if you don't know now, you know, right? And so some of that I think is about
Hexeth went further than that. FAFO,
right?
That's
Exactly.
He effed around and found out. That's what Hexeth said.
But sort of, utilizing, the Black cultural icons, right? Like Biggie, partly I think because Hakeem does it, right? Like Hakeem Jeffries does it, and so there's sort of like, well, we can do that too. But it does continue to speak to the ways in which our culture, right, becomes something that people desperately want to be associated with.
So let's just keep going. You just see every hour is different, and I never know where it's going to go. And so I'm teaching a class here soon called The Art of Conversation, and this is the art of conversation. You listen generously and charitably to your guests, and you follow them. You ain't leading nothing if you're doing it the right way. You're following your guests. So I'm going to keep following Adrianne because Adrianne keeps going. I'm going to keep staying right behind her. So a couple of things, again, still about this Stranger Things thing. Stranger Things show and the impact on Prince and the culture issue you just raised. See, here's what's ironic for me and interesting for me and frankly disheartening for me is that everybody, including Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and Rubio, you see where I'm going already, don't you? They want to tap into our culture when it suits them.
Yes.
When they want to drop a one-liner, when they want to make a reference, they tap into Black culture. You see where I'm going here? But at the same time, this same administration is doing everything it can to erase Black culture. Isn't that the ultimate irony?
Yeah, I mean, same thing, different day, I guess. This has always been true, right, throughout the course of American history. And I think that is, again, I go back to my point earlier, like, this is not our first rodeo. We have seen this before. And I think that they are, in some ways, I think about Donald Trump as his his slogan of "Make America Great Again," and I know that we're always trying to, asking the question like, well, when, at what point,
when was that?
at what point are we going back to? And I think it's different. Like, it's a different point for different people in the administration, right? There's clearly the Confederate set, right? Like, they want to reshape America in the image of the Confederacy, and we see that's the Voting Rights, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act in the Supreme Court. That is what that's about. Donald Trump, I think, is different depending on the day, right? Like, but one of the things that is clear to me is that he would like to go back to the 80s, right? The 80s is when he was great, right? It was when, rappers rapped about him in a positive way, right? It's when he was kind of a cultural icon.
Bill Gates,
right?
Donald Trump, let me in there.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he was, it's when he was wealthy and everyone saw him as being wealthy, right? It's when, it was the era of Enron, right? And greed was good, and no one questioned you for being greedy. No one questioned you for stiffing your workers or not paying your contractors. Like, all of that was fair game. And that's the era that he thrived in, right? And he's not that anymore. Black people don't want to be around him, right? Like, he gets C-list Black celebrities to come and make him feel good about himself. And so that is the, like, but that is the trying to be next to, right? Those things that are culturally popular in society, and that's all been produced by us.
Let me invoke one more again, Stranger Things, since you started this. I think every day, literally every day, I sit in this chair because every day Donald Trump does and says something else, right? I think every day about this notion of Stranger Things, not connected to the show, but just to our reality. Right. BlackPack has been around for a while. You all have done the research, you've done the work, you've done the organizing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody's done it better. Did you ever think that things could be this strange, even when you knew that the chances were more likely than not that Donald Trump was going to get reelected this time around? Did you ever think that things could be this strange?
No, I think that I think that it was clear what would happen if he was reelected, right? Like, they told us, they wrote it out in a whole 900-page book, right?
But it's worse than that.
It is shockingly, right? But, I also think that it is, there are things that are just shocking, right? And I think that in some ways, and we see it a lot when we think about what's happening in the Supreme Court, right? And the sort of debasement of the court itself and the sort of entire federal judiciary. I think that we allowed ourselves to be confused about the history of America by the Warren Court and by the Obama administrations, right? That we allowed ourselves to believe that perhaps we were on the other side of something, and not really
a post-racial America.
Well, post-racial America for Obama certainly, but even thinking that the court somehow was always going to be on the right side, would always be moving us toward a more perfect union, would always be moving us toward progress, and that's just not true. And I think that that's been stunning for people in the legal profession, right? But also for the rest of us to watch the court. And obviously it's been John Roberts' lifelong ambition to undo the Voting Rights Act, and he is right there, and certainly will do it. But I think that we and certainly maybe because of my age too, right? I think I understood to be the Warren Court to be the thing that the Supreme Court was supposed to be, right? Moving us, in a progressive direction. And so I think that, I think it's shocking to understand that we are having to refight the fights of our grandparents.
Miles, give me that Donald Trump clip ready that I asked for. This is Trump. I got you, Miles. Just get the clip ready, brother. I see you. Just get the clip ready. Okay, got it. He's like, I ain't ready yet. I ain't ready. I know. Just get it ready for me. Let me know when you got it. Okay. So I'm going to play this Donald Trump clip about the fact that he gets impeached if Republicans don't hold on to both houses in these midterms. So he's throwing down the gauntlet already and demanding that people get his back once again. So we'll play that for you. But it is I guess mind-boggling for me because I knew that things were going to be bad. I didn't think they were. I could never. I'm just being honest. I could not have imagined that it would be as bad as it is. And this Venezuela issue that you raised a moment ago just takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I've said every day this week that he's no longer calling it the Monroe Doctrine. It's now the Donroe Doctrine. But we see very clearly what he intends to do. And I think anybody who thinks that Venezuela is the end of it is completely stuck on stupid. Put down the crack pipe. This is the beginning. I was just reading this morning that Denmark and Greenland are begging for a meeting with Marco Rubio, trying to head off whatever they think or fear is coming based on what's come out of his mouth. And so as a result, it's we find ourselves in a space that I could never imagine us in, even though I knew, and Democrats, including Kamala and Joe Biden, kept saying Donald Trump represents an existential threat to our democracy. I don't think when they were saying that, that any of us envisioned this. Even when they were saying that, we didn't envision this. I'll leave it there for the moment. When we come forward, Miles and I'll get our act together here. We'll play that Donald Trump. His computer went down, had to reboot, so that happens in live radio. We'll get it rebooted, and we'll play the clip for you and go a little further with Adrianne Shropshire when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Conservative journalist Nick Shirley says his videos exposing alleged fraud in Minnesota's child care program went viral because they showed empty daycares getting millions in taxpayer dollars.
Go knock on the door of the daycare, and 1, no one answers. 2, if they do answer, there's no kids. And 3, if they answer, they can't even give you a brochure to enroll a child.
He insists race wasn't a factor and blasted mainstream media for criticizing his reporting. Former President Obama is inviting Chicago residents to apply for jobs at his presidential center in Jackson Park. The center opens in June and needs over 150 full-time staff. Apply at obama.org. And DMX will be posthumously ordained as a minister this weekend at Foster Memorial AME Zion Church in Tarrytown, New York. Church leaders say the late rapper turned his pain into a ministry of raw truth through his music. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are 13-5 on the road after winning at New Orleans Tuesday night, 111-103. 30 points each for LeBron and Luka Doncic. LeBron also had 8 rebounds and 8 assists in 33 minutes. The Lakers are in San Antonio tonight. LeBron will likely get the night off. At age 41, the Lakers are considering resting LeBron in the second game of back-to-back games throughout the season. The Clippers start a 3-game road trip tonight in New York against the Knicks. The Clippers have been playing a lot better lately. They are 7-1 in their last 8 games. In that stretch, Kawhi Leonard is averaging 35.4 points. This Friday at 6 p.m., Out of Bounds is moving to prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. And you can be a part of the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. For 40 years, I have had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, the privilege of sitting down with presidents, world leaders, authors, artists, activists, the folk who shape our world. Thousands of conversations, tens of thousands of questions. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the art of conversation is dying. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I am now going to teach what these almost 40 years have taught me, how to have conversations that matter. 6 courses, from the anatomy of a great conversation to generous listening as a superpower to handling difficult exchanges without losing your dignity or your mind. Go to TavisTalks.com right now. That's TavisTalks.com. Download the free guide, see what's coming, sign up to be the first to know when we launch the series. Conversation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught. I'll see you in class.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PATH25.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Adrianne Shropshire. She is the executive director of the political organization BlackPack, hosts of her own radio program called the BlackPack, and I'm pleased to have her on our program and live here in studio today. So I mentioned a moment ago that Donald Trump is playing politics once again with all the stuff that all the mess that he's created. But he never misses an opportunity to press his political agenda. And so just take a listen to this clip. It explains itself.
You got to win the midterms. Because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. We don't impeach them. You know why? Because they're meaner than we are. We should have impeached Joe Biden for 100 different things. They are mean and smart. They impeached me. I never knew I was going to be impeached. I get a phone call, you just got impeached. I said, what does that mean? It took them 10 minutes. They impeached me for nothing, twice. It's an amazing phenomenon. You win the presidency, and we sure as hell are having a successful presidency, I will say that. But even if it's a successful presidency, there's been nothing like what we're doing. But even if it's successful, they don't win. I don't know what it is. There's something psychological, like you vote against. You can win by a lot. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions. We won everything. But they say that when you win the presidency, you lose the midterm. So you're all brilliant people. Most of you are in this business longer than me. But I wish you could explain to me what the hell's going on.
So he's asking someone to explain to him what the heck is going on, Adrian. Will you do that for him right now, please?
Sure. So what is going on is everything that he is doing is wildly unpopular with the American people, even his own base, right? A third of Republicans now say that, which is not a lot, but to be clear, right, given the zealousness of his base, a third of them say that he's actually responsible for what's happening in the economy right now, not Joe Biden. So he is wildly unpopular. He's like, if we lose the midterms, I'll be impeached. Well, yeah, actually, you will be. That's exactly what's going to happen because you've done illegal and unconstitutional things, and that's why you were impeached the first 2 times, right? He's underwater, right? By every metric, right? He is approval rating is bad, right? So 39% based on the Economist YouGov poll. For Black people, BlackPack's polling has his disapproval rating at 85%, right? You are an unpopular president, putting forward unpopular ideas. People don't want to be at war with Venezuela. That's not what, you have farmers who you're having to bail out because you've tanked the agriculture industry, right? You have a failed presidency 1 year, right, into it. And so his asking his, Republican House members, explain to me what's going on. He's asking them, tell me why the people don't like me. Explain to me what's happening. I've done everything I said I was going to do. Well, yes, you have. Yeah. And also they're the things that people don't like. And you don't understand why people don't like you.
This is a bit of a philosophical question, I think. But if anybody can handle this question, Adrian can. It's right in her wheelhouse, as a matter of fact. But as I listen to Donald Trump in that clip, what occurs to me is that there is a distinct difference, I think, Adrian. I'm talking out loud here on radio, which is probably a dangerous thing to do. Not the first or last time I've stepped into this danger zone. But it seems to me there's a difference between a failed presidency, or can be a difference between a failed presidency and successfully running your game plan. So to your point, if you look at what he said he was going to do, he has run his playbook. So in that regard, it's not a failed presidency. Some of that stuff is wildly unpopular, but everything they said they were going to do in Project 2025, they are doing or have done. They are running their agenda, and Venezuela and invading it and getting the oil is part of it, right? They're running their agenda. Where's the line between what is regarded as a failed presidency on the one hand, but being successful on the other hand at running your playbook? Does that make sense as a question?
Sure, and I think that the reality, right, is it's not just his playbook.
Right.
Right. This is the playbook of a regime.
No
right.
question.
Like he did not. The Project 2025 did not come out of his brain.
That's right.
Right. It came out of a decades-long effort, right, by the conservative right to fundamentally reshape American government and fundamentally reshape American democracy. And so that is what we're seeing, right? We know that there are factions inside of his government, but they are running their playbook, right? The problem for him we saw last November, and that we saw all of 2025 with special elections, is that is not the playbook that even his own supporters which is, I'm going to say this because I think it is, I don't actually believe it when people say, that's not what I voted for.
Right.
Well, you voted for the other stuff too, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You voted for the other stuff too. You just thought that when he said that he was going to put money in your pocket, that he was actually going to do it. And he hasn't, right? And so, and people, I think there's a real hope and belief that their propaganda will carry them over and that they can continue to say that the economy is great and what are you all worried about and affordability is a Democratic hoax, and that people will believe it. But people don't believe it because they have to go buy groceries, right? They have to pay their rent. And so, yeah, I agree with you. They are running the game plan, right? All of the things, right? And using the same kind of line and messaging, saying to the American people, it's going to be a great economy. It's the golden age of America. Saying to the people of Venezuela, well, of course you would want us to be there. We're going to make you rich, right? Saying to the people, you know, it was J.D. Vance who was in Greenland last March, right, when he sort of usurped his wife's cultural trip, right, and turned it into this sort of military inspection, and Donald Trump said then to the people of Greenland, you should want us to come here because we're going to make you rich, right? So this idea that everyone is going to be better off if the man who actually can't run America is running their country.
I guess what I'm thinking is, and I think where I'm landing is here, that you can have let me put it this way. Your failed presidency is my successful game plan. They're not always the same thing.
That's right.
I can think of any number of things I wish that Joe Biden had done while he was there that they would have regarded as a failed presidency. But I would have regarded as a huge success. The George Floyd Policing Act.
Right.
You know, don't get me started. I could run the list of all these things that I wish he had done. That they, again, would have regarded as a failed presidency. I would have regarded as a huge success and moving, frankly, our democracy forward. That's the only point I'm making. Those two things don't have to be. You take my point.
Yes.
So the other thing that comes to mind, and let me just say this right now, when we come forward, I'll let you respond. So Donald Trump in that clip says two things that I think I disagree with. Again, I'm thinking out loud here. I don't think Democrats are mean and smart. I'll unpack that when we come forward. You can think now or process now which one of those two things I think he's wrong about. I don't think Democrats are mean and smart. Donald Trump said that. I disagree. And number two, I am not so sure that Donald Trump is going to be impeached. In this regard, I think I'm disagreeing with Donald Trump and Adrianne Shropshire. And she said that somewhat tongue-in-cheek. Well, yeah, she said it. I'm quoting Adrianne Shropshire. I'm not so sure that's the case. If Hakeem Jeffries becomes Speaker of the House, I bet you dollars to donuts that Hakeem is not going to allow an impeachment proceeding against Donald Trump because politically, I don't think Hakeem thinks that there is value in that for Democrats as they move toward the next cycle, which is the presidential election. I don't think Hakeem has the you pick your phrase, fill in the blank. He has the blank to do that. I don't see Hakeem doing that if he becomes Speaker of the House. So on those two issues, I disagree with Donald Trump. Let's see what Adrianne thinks about that when we come forward on Tavis Smile.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. If you're struggling with mental health, you should know that there are resources out there that can help. And it's okay to talk about it if you need to. One place to get started with information is loveyourmindtoday.org. LoveYourMindToday.org offers a range of guides, instructions, and insights for dealing with difficult situations or getting through a tough time. If you're struggling with mental health, get the help you need, because most people out here really care. Visit LoveYourMindToday.org. That's LoveYourMindToday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beep when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Adrianne Shropshire, who is the host of the BlackPack radio program here on my home station, KBLA Talk 1580. But more importantly, executive director of the organization, BlackPack, with all the amazing work they have done and continue to do on behalf of black people across the country as a political organization, particularly and especially in times like these. Okay, so Donald Trump, in case you've just tuned in, we played a clip a moment ago where he called Democrats mean and smart, told a room full of Republicans, we have to win these midterms. If we don't, I'm going to be impeached because Democrats are mean and smart. So I ask Adrianne, number one, are Democrats really mean and smart? And number two, your thoughts about my view that Hakeem Jeffries ain't got the stomach. It's just really not the way he moves. I'm not casting aspersion on him. I'm just saying the Hakeem I know, I don't see Hakeem allowing his party, if he becomes speaker, to advance impeachment proceedings. Those are my two issues. I'm done. It's all yours.
So the thing that Trump said in that clip is that he talks about Democrats being mean, but he also says they should be impeached because they're mean. Well, that's not an impeachable offense, right? You can't impeach somebody because they're mean, right? And again, he was impeached because he did illegal and unconstitutional things, right? Both times, right? So I think that Democrats aren't mean. I think sometimes they could be meaner, right? I think that's what the entirety of the Democratic base is saying.
That's my point. They're not as, that's what I was getting at. They're not as mean as they ought to be.
Right.
But I digress. Go ahead.
Given the circumstances, right?
That's right.
I think that I won't comment on whether or not they're smart or not. I think there are.
will.
I think there are smart Democrats.
They'd be smarter to be meaner.
Right.
How about that?
Well,
go ahead.
There's that.
There you go.
I think there are smart Democrats that are doing smart things right now. But I think the bigger question for me that you raise is this question of whether or not they'll impeach him. And I get that Hakeem, Leader Jeffries has tamped down impeachment efforts.
That's right.
In this moment, right? And that makes sense to me because there's no place for those things to go, right?
Yeah.
I do think he'll be impeached, and I think he'll be impeached because we can look at his illegal actions, right, from an unauthorized use of military force in Venezuela to any number of other things, right? But also, the Democratic Party needs to have a conversation with the American people about the corruption of this administration and of the Republican Party, and the way the sort of a way for them to do that will be through an impeachment process. They have to be able to shape the narrative. They need to be able to shape the environment leading into the 2028 presidential election, and we saw with the two impeachment process. It educated the American people, right? It engaged the American people. It had people calling their members of Congress, and it kept people wrapped, right? Like they were. Now we'll see if the mainstream media carries it in the way that they did, in his first term. But the reality is that it opens up a conversation about everything that this administration has done that has effectively not just undermined America and undermine American democracy, but undermine the rule of law, right? And set us on a path.
So all things considered, you think there's greater upside than downside if Hakeem becomes speaker and they do impeach, there's greater upside than downside?
I would say that.
Yeah.
I also would say that we don't know what the conditions are going to be a year from now, right?
True.
I think that we also, will be in the middle of,
Yeah.
or at least the beginning of the Democratic presidential primary season. Yeah. We don't know how the potential candidates are going to line up, so things are fluid.
One thing, fluid is a perfect word. I was about to say the same thing. One thing we do agree on, because things are fluid, that there are 1,001 things that Donald Trump can and likely will do between now and then that will make impeachment an easier case to argue.
Correct.
Church say amen?
Amen.
Our final moments with Adrianne Shropshire when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good.
Yeah, man.
Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beep when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
Picture this, you're on a date, and then bad breath happens. Confidence gone. Here's the truth. Most gums and mints are just bad breath Band-Aids, but not Zellman's Minty Mouth. The functional breath freshener you swallow. Tiny dual-action capsules with mint on the outside, parsley seed oil inside, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders, even garlic and onions. It's only available online. Go to Zellmans.com, Zelmins, Zellmans.com, code FRESH for 15% off.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
Sometimes the best part of this radio show, as I often say, happens during the breaks. We keep talking when the mics are off and it gets good. And so I want to reprise right quick in the 3 minutes I have left what Adrianne and I was just talking about off air, because it makes sense to me for you to hear this, and maybe you will agree with us. I was saying to her that when I watch Marco Rubio, he's the only person around Donald Trump who I can see having, he plays it off as best as he can, but I see him cringing sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like Marco. I'm not a fan of Marco Rubio. And to be clear, we know he hates Cuba.
Right.
And we know that he was behind this Venezuela
because
policy.
it hurts Cuba.
That's exactly. Mm-hmm. So he helped mastermind this Venezuela thing and abducting Maduro, yada, yada, yada. So he's wrong, most of the day. But he's the only person around Trump that I see having these sort of cringe moments when he's standing behind Trump and Trump is saying and doing certain things. You see it the same way?
There's a humiliation.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think, he's been getting humiliated by Donald Trump since
Little Marco.
Right.
Little Marco.
Right. But he's a man who wants to be president.
Yeah.
Right. And apparently
so he sucks it up.
Is willing to do and, take whatever he has to in order to, come out ahead of J.D. Vance.
Yeah. Adrianne and I were talking about this because unlike the first term, she and I were opining that there's nobody, Trump the greatest lesson Trump learned from the first term to the second term is that I ain't putting nobody in who's going to do a 180 on me.
Mm-hmm.
There were a number of people, including Barr at Justice, who one by one, slowly, his generals and others turned against him. John Bolton, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
But there ain't nobody who I'm choosing in my second term who's going to do that to me.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Right.
Rubio ain't going to do it, no matter how humiliated he is.
Right.
We know Hegseth ain't doing it. You know Stephen Miller ain't doing it. Nope. So nobody's going to turn against this guy.
No.
Yeah.
No guardrails of any kind. Yeah. And it's because they don't want them. Again, this is not just about him, right? This is about a decades-long agenda that Donald Trump, was useful at for them to implement, for the right in this country to implement. And so why would they put up any guardrails? This might be their last and only opportunity to reshape America. Yeah, I'm looking at a message right now. I'm looking at, so apparently there's a headline running on CNN, a quote from Stephen Miller, and the quote has something to do with... let me verify this. The world is run by force. Yeah, force and power. That's it. Yeah. So Stephen Miller apparently has just said to CNN. It's just straight authoritarianism. That the world is run by force and power. Yes. Even though you see all this pushback against Donald Trump for this might makes right philosophy that he's advancing, world leaders they're not feeling that. Right. Who has the power to, push back? Well, if you've been bullied your whole life, then apparently your worldview is that you have to bully everyone back. Yeah, that's Stephen's even problem. Harder. Yeah, right. Isn't it funny, man? We are all the sum total of our life's experiences, and Stephen Miller has not gotten over being bullied as a kid. And now he wants to bully everybody else. Yep. We are being subjected to this because some kids bullied Stephen Miller when he was growing up here in California. Yeah, indeed. And he ain't got over it. Yeah. So he now is saying that the world is governed by force and power. So they're drilling down. Right. Anyway, I am always thrilled when Adrianne Shropshire shows up. She don't do it often enough, but I can get her out of the house and get her in here from my show versus her show. It's always a great conversation, as I'm sure you concur. Appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. More Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Conservative journalist Nick Shirley says his videos exposing alleged fraud in Minnesota's child care program went viral because they showed empty daycares getting millions in taxpayer dollars.
Go knock on the door of the daycare and 1, no one answers. 2, if they do answer, there's no kids. And 3, if they answer, they can't even give you a brochure to enroll a child.
He insists race wasn't a factor and blasted mainstream media for criticizing his reporting. Former President Obama is inviting Chicago residents to apply for jobs at his presidential center in Jackson Park. The center opens in June and needs over 150 full-time staff. Apply at obama.org. And DMX will be posthumously ordained as a minister this weekend at Foster Memorial AME Zion Church in Tarrytown, New York. Church leaders say the late rapper turned his pain into a ministry of raw truth through his music. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Tired of the same old sports talk? Ready to go where the real conversation happens? Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, host of Out of Bounds, the sports show that doesn't play it safe. Every Friday at 6 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580, my co-host Neil Scarborough and I get you ready for the weekend. We take you beyond the highlight reels and into the stories that matter. The controversial calls, the game-changing plays, the athletes making headlines for all the right reasons and sometimes the wrong ones. From the NFL to the NBA, college ball to the pros, if it's happening in sports, we're breaking it down with no filter and all opinion. Tune in to Out of Bounds with me, Ray Richardson, and my co-host Neil Scarborough, live every Friday at 6 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580, because the best conversations happen out of bounds. KBLA Talk 1580, where Los Angeles talks.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are 13-5 on the road after winning at New Orleans Tuesday night, 111-103. 30 points each for LeBron and Luka Doncic. LeBron also had 8 rebounds and 8 assists in 33 minutes. The Lakers are in San Antonio tonight. LeBron will likely get the night off. At age 41, the Lakers are considering resting LeBron in the second game of back-to-back games throughout the season. The Clippers start a 3-game road trip tonight in New York against the Knicks. The Clippers have been playing a lot better lately. They are 7-1 in their last 8 games. In that stretch, Kawhi Leonard is averaging 35.4 points. This Friday at 6 p.m., Out of Bounds is moving to prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. And you can be a part of the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Touch me. You know just how to touch me. Kiss me. You know just where to kiss me.
I'm Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this hour of our program. And in this hour, 2 conversations as promised on the B side of this hour. It was indeed 1 year ago today that the greater LA area was engulfed by wildfires. And we are going to talk to James Farr, my colleague here at KBLA Talk 1580, my station here in LA. He's the host of our weekly show called Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. We have committed ourselves for the last year to being the source, the place for conversation about the recovery, frankly, the lack of recovery, as it were, in Altadena. So we assigned ourselves to create a show, to curate a show, which we did a year ago, that every week has tracked everything, all things about Altadena. And about that, I feel awfully proud of our station and of my colleagues and all the amazing conversations we have brought to the fore. We've made all kinds of news over the last year because we have focused on this like a laser. When nobody else has. Everybody talking about the Palisades, ain't nobody talking about Altadena. So we made it our business to create a show called Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, hosted by my colleague James Farr. He'll join us on the backside of this hour, as will Andrew Wessels. He is strategy director for the Eaton Fire Survivors Network. They have a strong set of criticisms of the folk who started this fire, Southern California Edison. In their report, it's called Wildfire Recovery Compensation. So I'll talk to James and Andrew on the backside of this hour 1 year later. But we commenced this conversation with UMass anthropology professor Nicholas Caverly. I think the general consensus, as I said earlier, is that Detroit is on the rebound, at least economically, and they have, for that matter, just elected the first woman mayor, a black woman named Mary Sheffield, who was on this program not too long ago, to lead Motown. But UMass, again, Professor Nicholas Caverly has written a book which challenges that notion. It's called Demolishing Detroit, How Structural Racism Endures. And so we spend some time now here in this first half hour talking about Detroit and more broadly about how infrastructural systems maintain a level of white supremacy within black communities, literally from California to the Carolinas. Professor Caverly, good to have you on the program. Happy New Year. How are you, sir?
Happy New Year, Tavis. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. I hope you are too.
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. So I'm doing okay, all things considered, and delighted to be in conversation with you. Let me just ask this question at the outset, which will get me in the right frame of mind, and we can jump from there. If I were to give you just a few minutes here to give me not a State of the Union address, but a State of Detroit address, you would say what? What would be in your address, the bullet points, and then I'll jump from there, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we were to give a State of Detroit, my response would be, Detroit is a city that we should all be looking to understand the United States in general. and especially to understand how racism is embedded in the everyday places that we live and work. It's in the landscape of our American cities, as you said, from Altadena to the Carolinas. And this book that I wrote, I focus on the project of empty building demolitions in Detroit. And Detroit has demolished more buildings than basically anywhere in the United States, maybe even in the world. They've knocked down around 200,000 empty buildings since the 1970s. And the goal of all these demolitions has been to address racist disinvestment, to address the consequences of white flight from the city. But I spent a number of years talking to city residents, talking to demolition workers, and I found that just reality is a lot more complicated. Because even with all of these demolitions, Detroit is emblematic of conditions that we see across the US. We see anti-Black distributions of economic opportunity. We see anti-Black distributions of environmental contamination. And what I really think is important to focus on here is how tearing down monuments to racism, tearing down empty buildings, doesn't necessarily change the systems and the processes that made them to begin with. And this is something that people on the ground know pretty well. And they know that and people on the ground in Detroit know it really well. They know that to address racism, we need to not just focus on tearing things down, but on saying, what does it look like to build up more equitable distributions of resources and of burdens?
Yeah. No naivete here, but the primary reason for the city demolishing all these buildings is what? Is it just blight, or am I missing something? Why has this been their strategy, to demolish, to destroy all of these properties?
No, I mean, I think that's a really important question. That on the one hand, like, living next to an empty building is not good. People do not like living next to empty buildings in their neighborhoods, and so demolishing them has been the process that multiple municipal administrations going back decades have taken. But when I talk to Detroiters, and I think when Detroiters talk to public officials, they would say, we would really prefer that these buildings be used. We would like to see neighbors living next to us. We would like to see, commercial enterprises in our communities. And yet, if that can't happen, that's the only reason we would want something torn down. And so demolition has been a kind of solution of last resort on the one hand. And then also it's the thing that, for the most part, the federal government would fund. The federal government would send money to Detroit to demolish buildings, but it wouldn't send money to Detroit to help people fix the holes in their roofs or to help them fix their broken boilers. And so this is both a matter of, it's been a solution of last resort, but also it's the only thing that we've directed money toward.
See, that last answer pretty much says it all. I was just about to ask you, and I still will give you a chance to unpack a bit more when we come forward on this question of why demolishing has been the strategy, rather than finding ways through other innovative programs to put people in those homes, to fix those properties up. And a city that's been losing Black population for decades now needs more people in the city. I mean, your tax base is being hurt in large measure because people are leaving the city. So it seems to me a wiser choice than demolishing would be to find ways to fix up those properties, build your population back up, build your tax base back up. Why was that not an option? You just heard the answer, but we'll go a little deeper with Professor Nicholas Caverly when we come forward. The book is called Demolishing Detroit, How Structural Racism Endures. Glad to have him right now on Tavis Smiling.
Generous listening.
Charitable listening.
It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. For 40 years, I have had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, the privilege of sitting down with presidents, world leaders, authors, artists, activists, the folk who shape our world. Thousands of conversations, tens of thousands of questions. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the art of conversation is dying. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I am now going to teach what these almost 40 years have taught me: how to have conversations that matter. 6 courses, from the anatomy of a great conversation to generous listening as a superpower to handling difficult exchanges without losing your dignity or your mind. Go to TavisTalks.com right now. That's TavisTalks.com. Download the free guide, see what's coming, sign up to be the first to know when we launched the series. Conversation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught. I'll see you in class.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu, the daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast!
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beep when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Nicholas Caverly, who is a professor of anthropology at UMass Amherst. The book is called, his new book, that is, Demolishing Detroit, How Structural Racism Endures, and I'm pleased to have him on this program. So I was asking, again, not at all naively a moment ago, why demolition was the option rather than finding a way through some innovative programs to bring people back into the city. And the answer that you gave me was in part connected to the federal government, which on some level doesn't surprise me. But Donald Trump ain't always been president. We've had a number of Democratic presidents since Detroit started losing people. They couldn't figure this out.
I mean, this is, they frankly did not, whether they could have or just chose not to, I cannot say. You know, a question that a lot of people in Detroit brought to me was, you know, costs about $25,000 to tear down, you know, a small house. Mm-hmm. And yet, you know, and so the municipality through various kinds of federal funding could take $25,000 and tear down a house, but it couldn't take $25,000 and give it to somebody to fix the leaks in their roof. And so, you know, this wasn't because people in the city government didn't want to help people fix their roofs often, and they would say, like, our hands are tied by federal money. But back in 2020, the federal money for demolition that had been authorized by, you know, the Obama administration and carried through the Trump administration, that went away. And so Detroit found itself in a position of having to put city money, city tax dollars into demolitions. And the mayor at the time wanted to basically put all the money into demolition. We went to the voters and wanted to go for a bond. And Mary Sheffield, who was president of the city council at the time, she actually pushed back and was part of a group of city councilors who made sure that the bond didn't just fund demolition, that it created some money for renovation, it created money for home repair grants. And so that's something that, you know, where the federal government has kind of tied the hands of city administrations. We see somebody like Mary Sheffield, who's just been elected mayor in Detroit, or just been sworn in as mayor, you know, pushing for something a little bit different, saying if we're going to put city tax dollars into things like demolition, we also need to put city tax dollars into home repair grants. We need to put city tax dollars back into people's neighborhoods.
Tell me more about the subtitle of the book. And this is really the sweet spot of this particular book, How Structural Racism Endures. Why does this kind of structural racism continue unabated?
Yeah, so something I think that is really important and something that Detroiters who I spoke with really helped me understand was how, often when we think about racism, we think about, how do we find the racist person or the racist decision that is producing this thing? But racist things happen all the time without explicitly racist people, without explicitly racist policies. And so it's really important to look for the kind of racist systems that are shaping our world. And one place that I saw that I talk about a little bit in the book is on demolition work sites. One of the arguments for demolition was that it would provide employment to people in the city of Detroit who have been, historically excluded from employment, specifically Black men in Detroit. But Black Detroiters really struggled to get trained to do things like operate the excavators that tear down buildings. And they struggled to get trained because basically the best training locations are about 60 miles outside of the city. There's not very good public transit in Michigan at all. Cars are exceptionally expensive. Car insurance is really expensive. And so this, the kind of the conditions that were blocking people from economic opportunity weren't necessarily individual people making decisions. It was the layout of the metropolitan region. And so if we want to think about what is it going to take to actually address racism, we have to kind of get beyond just, yes, we need to address racist ideologies, racist decisions, but we have to also think more expansively to what does it look like to transform our regions actually so they produce a more just and equitable status quo.
I'm thinking, I don't mean to make you political, but I think you'll understand why I'm going in this direction as I listen to the response you've just offered. I'm thinking about the criticism that is often levied at the left, leveled against Democrats who run these cities by Republicans. And the argument you've heard 1,000 times is that all of these cities that are, as the phrase says, going to hell in a handbasket, all these cities that are enduring this kind of angst and drama and trauma are cities that have for years, many of them, been led by Black mayors. And so Republicans love to make an enemy of cities, and cities right now are not thriving under this administration because this administration doesn't care, as oftentimes Republicans don't. They don't care about cities because cities are populated by folk who look like me. I mean, the people listen to this program right about now. I wonder how we look at an issue like this, where structural racism is allowed to run rampant, even in places that are populated by Black people, obviously, but more to the point, run by Black people. And if the answer is that my hands are tied by the federal government, then that answer ain't good enough for me. But my point is we can read books like yours all day long, but at some point I've got some questions about the Black folk who run these municipalities and the role that they play complicitly or blindly, or you fill in the blank, allowing this kind of structural racism to continue. Does that make sense as a question to you?
Absolutely, that makes sense as a question. And I think what's important, and I can speak from the context of Detroit. If we go back 10, 11 years, Detroit was, Detroiters were democratically electing their city councilors, they were democratically electing their mayor, and yet those elected leaders had no power. The state of Michigan placed the city of Detroit under what was called emergency management.
I remember that.
This is the same process that they placed the city of Flint under. They placed other majority Black cities in Michigan under, saying that, the state argued that, democratically elected people were, Black folks who were democratically elected to lead their cities were not doing a good job. And so they took away the democratic rights of people in those cities. And folks in Detroit fought emergency management with everything that they had. And so something that I really think that brings to the fore is how when we look at majority Black cities like Detroit, which are led by, competent and strong leaders, including, people like Mary Sheffield, right? If we take away the democratic process, which is what our states and our regions and our federal government is trying to do, then it doesn't matter who, their hands quite really are tied, right? If we take away the democratic process. And so when we look kind of broadly across the United States and we say, our national democracy is imperiled, we really should be learning from people in places like Detroit, people in places like Flint, in Benton Harbor, Michigan, to understand like what does it look like to fight for your democracy and to actually believe in it.
Mm-hmm. I was reading and preparing for our conversation today. Let me pivot for a second, but I think I can connect this up and give you something to work with here. So I was reading again in preparation for our conversation, and I remember when this happened, of course. But back in 2021, voters in Detroit, as you well know, overwhelmingly approved a reparations ballot initiative that tasked the city with confronting the sort of deep-seated racism, the structural racism, the injustices that we're talking about in this conversation. In 2023, the task force, reparations task force, 13 members, starts their work. I'm fast forwarding. They just released their final report in October 2025. So literally just a couple of months ago, their final report, almost 600 pages, was released. To the extent you know anything about this or see a connection between what Detroiters want when it comes to reparations. And again, reparations are taking hold in cities, although at the federal level, we're not going to make any progress, of course, during the Trump era. But all across the country, in cities, we see these reparations task forces getting off the ground. We see these reports coming out. We see work being done in places like Evanston, Illinois, and elsewhere. We see reparations agendas starting to be advanced. And so Detroit has decided that it is now going to wrestle with this report and the recommendations that come out of it. But is there anything, to your knowledge, in this report that might address the kind of structural racism in Detroit that you write about so eloquently in your book, Demolishing Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, so the reparations initiative in Detroit is something that I have been following, and it's something that the city council brought it to voters in 2021. But there has been a longstanding movement for reparations in Detroit with folks like Reverend Joanne Watson, who helped bring that reparations initiative forward and has been worked on reparations for a long time in the national stage. And something that I think from observing the meetings that were convened by the reparations task force, I haven't had a chance to get entirely through the report.
Sure.
But something that stood out to me was how Detroiters spoke to the ways that, it's important to take city resources and use it to address the harms that have been brought to people, especially Black folks in Detroit who've been excluded from housing, who have been targeted by police, who have experienced exclusion from economic opportunity, who've experienced environmental contamination. Those things are important. They're important to Detroiters and they're important to have at the table. But something people also spoke to was how if all we're doing is taking city resources toward these reparations initiatives, we're missing how when we look at a region like metropolitan Detroit, which is really balkanized, where you have incredibly wealthy, majority white suburbs that sit directly next to some of the highest poverty parts of the United States, many of which are majority Black in Detroit, we're actually not moving resources in the places they need to go. We're just taking resources from the city of Detroit to give it to the city of Detroit. And when we think about reparations, we need to be working at a much bigger scale, at least at the metropolitan scale, but probably also at the national and maybe even international scale.
Yep. So I said earlier that the focus of this conversation primarily has been Detroit, but these infrastructural systems maintain a level of white supremacy within Black communities all across the country, long-standing. So let me bring this thing full circle. You started this conversation by saying, what we can learn from Detroit about the way, again, that these structural systems across the country negatively impact Black people. Talk to me about that issue more broadly outside of Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, so we can think about how across the country, often, people are asking, what would it look like to move forward from racism, and saying, why can't, often it's people who are wealthy and white who say, well, why can't we just move forward from this? We've changed the laws. The laws, racist laws are gone. Why can't we just move forward? And yet, whether they willfully or not are missing is how to do that would be to move forward on unequal terms. We see that all the time. You were speaking earlier about, how your show has had a laser focus on Altadena, and how, if what we're looking for is just like to, oh, well, can we just move forward from this incredibly awful and traumatic and unequal event? If we just move forward and we forget about it, we're going to reproduce it. And our systems, as they're set up, were created to produce white supremacy. They were created to produce whiteness as a kind of, as priority access to wealth and opportunity. And so it's not enough to just kind of assume we can move forward. We have to really focus on changing our political, economic, and environmental systems to ask how do we center the interests of people who've been historically oppressed in those systems to design what we want the future to be.
Yeah. As my grandmother would say, that's too much like right, though. That's just too much like right. Your prescription is right on, but it just makes too much sense. I digress. The book is called Demolishing Detroit, How Structural Racism Endures. The author is Nicholas L. Caverly. He is an anthropology professor at UMass Amherst. Thank you for the research. Thank you for the text. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for the time. Enjoy the rest of your year, sir. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tavis.
You heard Professor Caverly mention Altadena a moment ago. That's where we're headed, to Altadena in the next half hour. We'll be joined by my colleague James Farr and Andrew Wessels for a conversation about these deadly fires that jumped off 1 year ago today. Thousands of acres scorched, thousands of properties destroyed, many, many lives lost. It was a year ago today that all this started here in Southern California. We'll look back and forward when we come forward on Tavis Smile.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward?
Because he's not going back.
And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Wouldn't
it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York City has a new fire commissioner. Mayor Zohran Mamdani swore in Lillian Bonsior, the FDNY's 37th commissioner, after 31 years in EMS.
In a city that never stops, we are the ones who stand in the gap between catastrophe and community.
Bonsior calls it the honor of a lifetime and vows to improve response times and fight for EMS pay equity. Black Democrat Mike Jones has won the special election for Virginia Senate District 15, defeating Republican John Thomas by around 68% to nearly 33% of the vote. His victory maintains Democrats' slim majority in the state Senate. And Warner Brothers Discovery has rejected a hostile takeover bid from Paramount Skydance. The board says the offer is inferior to its $72 billion deal with Netflix to sell its streaming and studio business, urging shareholders to stick with Netflix. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
The Lakers are 13-5 on the road after winning at New Orleans Tuesday night, 111-103. 30 points each for LeBron and Luka Doncic. LeBron also had 8 rebounds and 8 assists in 33 minutes. The Lakers are in San Antonio tonight. LeBron will likely get the night off. At age 41, the Lakers are considering resting LeBron in the second game of back-to-back games throughout the season. The Clippers start a 3-game road trip tonight in New York against the Knicks. The Clippers have been playing a lot better lately. They are 7-1 in their last 8 games. In that stretch, Kawhi Leonard is averaging 35.4 points. This Friday at 6 p.m., Out of Bounds is moving to prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. And you can be a part of the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PATH25.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
1 year ago today, the greater Los Angeles area was engulfed by wildfires. Specifically, the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire burned 14,000 acres, killed 19 people, but hundreds more have died since then from a myriad of maladies. We'll be joined in a moment by Altadena residents James Farr and Andrew Wessels. James, of course, is my colleague here at KBLA Talk 1580, my home station in L.A., host of our weekly show, Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. And Andrew is strategy director for the Eaton Fire Survivors Network. They have strong criticisms of the folk who started this fire, Southern California Edison, in a number of reports that they have released one titled Wildfire Recovery Compensation Program. They have both been busy today. James co-hosted our morning show with our regular host, Dominique DePrima. He was with her this morning in the Altadena area, in Pasadena to be specific, at Perry's Joint. Great establishment there. If you're ever in Pasadena, go check out Perry's Joint, black-owned restaurant. They were there this morning for 3 hours with our live program, talking to all kinds of people. 1 year later, survivors, residents, etc. We'll let James unpack that for us in just a second. And Andrew has been busy because the Eaton Fire Survivors Network had a press conference today, 1 year after these fires, and they had something to say there. So I'll let both of them give us an update on what they've been doing today after I give you just a few more stats about what we know 1 year later. The fires a year ago, of course, killed more than 30 people total. I mentioned 19 in the Altadena area. More than 30 people total were killed, scorching 37,000 acres, or almost 58 square miles. Think about that, 58 square miles scorched across 3 weeks of this fire fury. The economic impact is estimated somewhere between $95 billion and $164 billion 1 year later. Few have rebuilt homes. The battles with insurance companies persist, sadly, as do the bureaucratic hurdles to rebuilding. More than 70%, as I said earlier, of Eaton, Altadena, Palisades residents remained displaced by the fires, still fighting with their insurers. In the Altadena, Eaton, Palisades fire burn zones, only about half a dozen homes have been rebuilt. A year later, half a dozen homes have been rebuilt so far on the more than 9,000 lots that were burned out. Half a dozen homes rebuilt in a year. Just some stats about where we are 1 year later. I'm watching my time. James Farr, tell me how this morning went and what you all saw and heard today.
Thank you, Tavis, for Mr. Smiley, for having me. What we heard this morning was very emotional. It was gutting. It was disorientating. But then there was also a great deal of resilience and hope from the persons who are a part of this community, still struggling, still striving, exactly 1 year later before their entire life was upended. And they became involuntary participants in a what could only be best described as corporate negligence, profit over people, and greed.
Yeah. I mentioned a few stats a moment ago. You've seen these, and I've seen others, and you talk about this stuff every week on your program, Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. Of all the stats that I mentioned, which one just unnerves you the most?
I can't put my head around that $1 billion number.
Yeah.
I can't even keep counting to that. But while that may seem factual, it's still a bit abstract, because when you're speaking with the people in the community, someone needs $100,000, someone needs $1.5 million. So there's such a wide gap between what the individual specificity of what someone needs in order to get back, if there is a such thing as getting back, to what was normal January 6, 2025.
I asked that question about those stats because it's mind-boggling that over 70% of the people are still a year later fighting with their insurance companies. It bothers me. You got a half a dozen homes rebuilt out of 9,000 burnt out lots. I mean, those numbers are hard to, speaking of wrapping your brain around stuff, it's just hard to understand how this process, James, could be so bureaucratically, if I can say it, bogged down, such a slow process a year later.
Well, government moves at two speeds, Mr. Smiley. That's slow and slower.
Yeah.
And so what this has completely exposed, first of all, is that somebody or somebodies didn't do their damn job. The other part of that is that the systems aren't set up to succeed after such a disaster. And so it's no surprise to me that we are where we are. It's almost expected.
Andrew Wessels, you all had a press conference today, the Eaton Fire Survivors Network. Tell me what you all shared with the media today, 1 year later at your press conference, about the way you all see this drama a year later.
First of all, thank you so much for having me, Mr. Smiley. It's always wonderful to be here to talk to you. So our press conference today covered a lot of what James was sharing and kind of trying to address some of those stats that you're sharing. And very specifically, we had a number of survivors speak about what the actual reality on the ground is of people who are running out of housing support, literally becoming homeless next week and living with children in their cars as their housing runs out. But we also, so we saw the reality and the challenges and what that actually means at a human level. It's not just some big number that's abstract, that it's literally, parents living with their kids in cars because there's no support for their lost home. And but then at the same time, we also got to hear from the people who represent us. We heard from Supervisor Barger, we heard from Assemblymember Harabedian and State Senator Perez about both what they've attempted to accomplish over this year, as well as they announced some of their plans for the upcoming legislative season, and how they're going to continue to try to rectify some of these wrongs and get this recovery on track.
So let me just go right at the one thing that I heard that I'm sure this audience heard that makes no sense to any of us. So Southern California Edison starts a fire. I mean, they didn't start it intentionally or deliberately, but their negligence causes this fire to jump off. How is it possible that a year later, while you're still fighting with your insurance company, that you could be homeless? How is it possible you could be living with your family? How is it possible that you could be running out of money for housing when we know who started this? They've got this, so-called fast track compensation program. But even if you're not on that track, and you and I have talked in the past about how woeful you and I believe that this program actually is. Southern California Edison has got to do better. They can certainly do better than what this program is allowing for. But the thought that a year after losing everything that you could be homeless or borderline homeless makes no sense to me, Andrew, when there's that much money out there. So how is FEMA and the federal government allowing this? How is local government allowing this? How is Edison allowing this? How can people be homeless?
Well, first to start off, the federal government owes us somewhere around $26 to $36 billion that was supposed to be distributed, that we've requested from the federal government that it has not distributed to us. So that's the first pillar. Right. The second pillar is that insurance for people who have insurance, our insurance coverage that is supposed to allow us to live in housing while we rebuild or restore our homes is running out faster than expected. And that's because the extent of damage that this fire did to the community has caused rents to double or triple. And so if your insurance coverage was supposed to have housing coverage for 2 to 3 years, well, with rents doubling and tripling, that means you effectively have about 1 year of rent. And here we are at the 1 year mark, right? And that's when people's housing is running out. And then the third part of it, as you mentioned, is Edison has not stepped up. That Edison has shown no interest whatsoever in taking responsibility for the damage that they've wrought to this community, and that they've shown that there's no interest whatsoever in ensuring that the people whose lives that they've upended and destroyed do not go homeless.
Yeah. It just seems to me that while they're figuring this out, whatever this looks like in this so-called fast pay program that I don't think is either fast or fair, I'll give you some numbers about what Edison has said today with regard to who has signed up for this fast pay program. I'll give you numbers about that when we come forward. But there's just no reason, with all the money that Edison has and with all the negligence and irresponsibility of Edison, that anybody ought to be homeless. You keep these people housed until you figure this out. But nobody, after losing everything, ought to be homeless. That makes no sense whatsoever. I digress for now. More with James Farr and Andrew Wessels when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. If you're struggling with mental health, you should know that there are resources out there that can help. And it's okay to talk about it if you need to. One place to get started with information is loveyourmindtoday.org. Loveyourmindtoday.org offers a range of guides, instructions, and insights for dealing with difficult situations or getting through a tough time. If you're struggling with mental health, get the help you need, because most people out here really care. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park,
Los Angeles, California.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and James Farr and Andrew Wessels as we look back a year ago today when these fires jumped off here in Southern California. James, right quick here, you know this clock works. You host your own show here, and the time is getting tight. After just 2 months of this program, this so-called fast pay program, Southern California Edison has said that they have drawn more than 1,800 customers to this compensation program meant to settle scores of lawsuits against the company over these deadly fires. 1,800 customers have been, are in this portal, so to speak. They have made offers to 82 people. We are told those 82 persons have accepted those offers for a collective total of $34.4, almost $35 million. So $35 million they've agreed to pay out so far to 82 claimants. Of the 1,800 customers that have been drawn to the program that are in this portal, those are numbers that come from them. I've said earlier, and you have said earlier, and Andrew has said earlier, we think this program is neither fast nor fair. But what say you about what Edison is announcing today with regard to the numbers?
Well, Edison is on the clock. The folks have until November of this year to opt into the program. The first court trial hearing happens in January of next year. What this is telling us is that people aren't buying it. They are attempting to kind of poach off, if you will, the low-hanging fruit. They want to offer people pennies on the dollar and really appeal to, understandably, a level of desperation. It is no fiduciary responsibility to the customers, to the community. This is profit over people. And Edison is doing quite well on Wall Street.
So James, his house survived the fire. Andrew's house did not. We'll get personal with Andrew when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, James Farr, and Andrew Wessels. Got about 4.5 minutes left here. Reporting by the LA Times has found that after 5 major California fires, listen to this, 5 major California fires between 2017 and 2020, only 38% of those destroyed homes were rebuilt 8 years later. Only 38%, 8 years later. Communities returned only when insurance paid fully and on time, which they are not, and only when utilities paid when they were responsible, which they aren't. And where those payments did not arrive, displacement became long-term. So I ask Andrew Wessels whether or not with that data, Altadena will ever come back, and will your damaged home ever be rebuilt?
Well, I'm personally hopeful. I'm working hard every day for that, but it's dependent on insurance. We're not, independently wealthy where I can just spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to restore a home and then ask my lawyer to deal with it later and not worry about it. That's not the fact of the matter, and that's not the fact of the matter for just about anyone in Altadena. As you mentioned, the LA Times showed recovery happens when insurance pays and when utilities who are at fault pay. Mr. Smiley, that I like to find wonky numbers. And I read a report from the Philadelphia Federal Reserve that actually took a look at this exact question of what happens after California wildfires in the mortgage market, in the insurance market. And the Philadelphia Federal Reserve Bank found that insurance averages under payouts of $160,000 to $300,000 per fire survivor. That's $160,000 to $300,000 per fire survivor.
Underpayment.
Yes, sir.
Wow. That does not surprise me. And that's not a wonky number. That's what you call reality. That's what you call truth. It's a sad truth, a sad reality. But these insurers, I tell you, man, that's what the legislature ought to be doing. The legislature ought to be wrestling with these insurance companies and getting them to do right. I know a particular African-American whose name I ain't going to call right now. He's probably listening, who's running for insurance commissioner here in California. But trust and believe, as we get into this campaign season this year and the persons running for insurance commissioner start coming around, those are our questions. What are you going to do to hold these insurance companies accountable here in California? I'm jumping ahead, but we're going to get to that as we move through this year between the primaries and the general election here in California around issues of insurance. For now, I thank Andrew Wessels for his work and witness as part of the Eaton Fire Survivors Network. They've been on the front line, raising tough questions and holding people accountable. I saw them sneak a sign in. If you watched the Rose Bowl parade, you saw the float go by, and I saw somebody sneak up a sign. We try not to make the parade political, but I saw somebody sneak that sign in, demanding investigation to these fires. And so I appreciate what the Eaton Fire Survivors Network has done. Andrew, thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day to the extent you can, my friend. And James Farr, my colleague here at KBLA Talk 1580, host of the weekly program, Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. He's been doing it for a whole year, making sure that somebody is on the front lines of making sure that we are the source for all things Altadena. He is a resident of Altadena, not unlike Andrew. So, James, thank you for your work at Witness over this last year. Thank you for today, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York City has a new fire commissioner. Mayor Zohran Mamdani swore in Lillian Bonsior, the FDNY's 37th commissioner, after 31 years in EMS.
In a city that never stops, we are the ones who stand in the gap between catastrophe and community.
Bonsior calls it the honor of a lifetime and vows to improve response times and fight for EMS pay equity. Black Democrat Mike Jones has won the special election for Virginia Senate District 15, defeating Republican John Thomas by around 68% to nearly 33% of the vote. His victory maintains Democrats' slim majority in the state Senate. And Warner Brothers Discovery has rejected a hostile takeover bid from Paramount Skydance. The board says the offer is inferior to its $72 billion deal with Netflix to sell its streaming and studio business, urging shareholders to stick with Netflix. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are 13-5 on the road after winning at New Orleans Tuesday night, 111-103. 30 points each for LeBron and Luka Doncic. LeBron also had 8 rebounds and 8 assists in 33 minutes. The Lakers are in San Antonio tonight. LeBron will likely get the night off. At age 41, the Lakers are considering resting LeBron in the second game of back-to-back games throughout the season. The Clippers start a 3-game road trip tonight in New York against the Knicks. The Clippers have been playing a lot better lately. They are 7-1 in their last 8 games. In that stretch, Kawhi Leonard is averaging 35.4 points. This Friday at 6 p.m., Out of Bounds is moving to prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. And you can be a part of the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. For 40 years, I have had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, the privilege of sitting down with presidents, world leaders, authors, artists, activists, the folk who shape our world. Thousands of conversations, tens of thousands of questions. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the art of conversation is dying. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I am now going to teach what these almost 40 years have taught me, how to have conversations that matter. 6 courses, from the anatomy of a great conversation to generous listening as a superpower to handling difficult exchanges without losing your dignity or your mind. Go to tavistalks.com right now. That's tavistalks.com. Download the free guide, see what's coming, sign up to be the first to know when we launch the series. Conversation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught. I'll see you in class. I'm Tavis Smiley. That's Michael Jackson. I'm delighted to have our guest in this hour. I look forward to this every year. I get a chance to talk to him more than once a year, but it is my way that every year during the first week of this program, I invite him on this show. He's always on the first week of the year to give us what we need for the year, help us get our minds right. He is the author of the iconic, the classic text, Success Runs in Our Race. He is Dr. George Fraser, whose insights will, as I said, get you ready to make the most of this year now that he's here for the rest of the hour, to talk about, among other things, the 7 critical currencies of life. I told you a couple hours ago, whatever you do, don't miss the third and final hour today. And so I am pleased to have on this program, as he is every year, during the first week of the year, Dr. George C. Fraser. Happy New Year, George. How are you, sir? Is your mute button on, George? Unlock yourself. You may be on mute. I can't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear him. Let's get him off the mute button. He's on the line. I just can't hear him, so we'll get that together. But again, I invite him on this program every year. There are a handful of people that I reach out to perennially because their insights are so profound. Yesterday on this program, you recall, Dr. Willie Jolly was on. And we talked about his amazing new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. If you missed that conversation with Willie Jolly yesterday, check out the podcast. I'm sure it posted last night. But his amazing text is called Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. And I mentioned George Fraser yesterday because George Fraser is one of the persons that endorsed and blurbed that book. And I read his blurb yesterday and said, so if you're a George Fraser fan, as I am, don't miss tomorrow's show, because while we're talking to Willie Jolly today, I said yesterday, George Fraser will be here tomorrow. And I believe George Fraser is now here. Dr. Fraser, Happy New Year. How are you, sir?
A Happy New Year to you, Tavis, and so good to be with you and our annual New Year's rant. So God bless you, my brother.
Oh, no, it ain't a rant. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff, and I am delighted that you were here and glad we got you off that mute and glad that I can hear you and the audience can hear you. So, again, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you once again. Let me just start here. This is my way, as it always is with Dr. Fraser. I never set him up. I just follow him. So I've got a number of things I want to talk to you about, but you tell me where you want to start. You just jump in, and you know how I do it. I know how to get in where I fit in. Just start talking, George, and I'll jump when I need to.
That's a deal. I want to start with something today, a bit provocative, but will make people think and will help frame up building wealth and transferring that wealth intergenerationally. It's sort of a different spin on it, and again, a bit provocative. And it begins with something, a quote I developed a long time ago, and it simply goes, "I asked for flowers, and God gave me rain." I'm going to repeat that. I've asked for flowers, and God gave me rain. Now, unpack that, Dr. Fraser. God doesn't give us what we want in life, Tavis. He gives us what we need in order to become all that we want in life and to have what we want in life, right? So God wants you to become something great. When he wants you to become something great, Tavis, he challenges us, okay? When God wanted David to make David a king, he didn't give him a crown.
That's right.
He gave him Goliath. Right? When God wanted to free Job, he didn't give him a shortcut.
That's right.
He gave him prison.
That's right.
When God wanted to make Esther a queen, he didn't give her comfort. He gave her a crisis. When God wanted to make Moses a leader, he didn't give him a stage. He gave him the wilderness. Many times, when we feel like God is breaking us, really he is building us. And that's really what that means. That's what we have to focus on, is to build. But understand, if it was easy, why would God need you? Right? It is not easy. It is not supposed to be easy. You're supposed to be able to overcome obstacles. And I talked about this with you. I forgot when it was, but one of my favorite quotes outside of the Bible is a quote by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was one of the 5 great Caesars. And he said this in 600 BC. He said that the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. Right? It becomes the way. What is the first thing God does when he gives us an assignment? He puts an obstacle in our way.
Oh, yeah.
I just quoted some biblical passages that were obstacles for some of the most memorable people in the Bible. He puts an obstacle in our way. And our job is to find a way over, around, through, and under those obstacles. Let's say the wealth gap is a huge obstacle. There's a major wealth gap between us and them. And then when you overcome those obstacles, you get an attaboy and you get an attagirl from God, and then you get on with your assignment. And then what's the next thing God does when he gives you a new assignment? He puts an obstacle in your way. So it's over and over and over. Our life is about overcoming obstacles. In other words, understanding when you ask for flowers, you're going to get rain, because there's something you need to learn. There's some way that you must grow to get to what you want, get to what you have.
He is often, hold that thought, he's often running. I tell you, I jump in when I have to, and only when I have to, because he is so good at this that I hate to interrupt, but this is radio. So I got to jump in at least 3 or 4 times in this hour, but he is often running. So the first notation is that when you ask for flowers, God will give you rain, because the obstacle is the way. The obstacle is the way. If you're taking notes like I am, there's your first note in this master class that's being taught free of charge for you by George C. Fraser on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking.
That's what we do around here.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, yo, come on. Pick up the drum.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in.
But we're okay with that.
You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed, and if you've missed the first 15 minutes of this conversation, you've already missed some richness from Dr. George C. Fraser. Thankfully for you, lucky for you, the podcast of this conversation will post later tonight. Now that you're here for the next 45, don't move because he got a lot of good stuff for you. But if you missed the first 15 minutes of this conversation, check out the podcast tonight when it's posted to hear Dr. Fraser unpack what he means by I asked for flowers and God gave me rain. He went in already. Again, check out the podcast if you missed the first 15 minutes. There are 4 notes that George Fraser sent to me last night. I'm going to let him work through all 4 of these notes as we move through the hour. But let me tell you where we're going in this master class today that you're getting for free. I asked for flowers and God gave me rain. He's unpacked that already. In no particular order. He will do it as he chooses to. We'll get to 3 other issues. Your legacy or not. Your legacy or not. He'll talk about that in this hour. The 7 critical currencies of life. The 7 critical currencies of life. He'll talk about that in this hour. And this one I'm waiting for him to get to. How fortunate we are to be able to die. How fortunate we are to be able to die. That's going to require some unpacking, as only Dr. George C. Fraser can do. It's going to be a great hour. Before I let you go to any of that, and it's your Jeopardy board, you choose to go where you want to go, and I'll follow you as I always do. But one quick follow-up. I'll have a few of those throughout this hour. But one quick follow-up on what you said already about I asked for flowers and God gave me rain. I was thinking that the opposite, George, of easy is entitlement. The opposite of easy is entitlement. Let me rephrase that. Not the opposite. Those are synonyms, basically. That's what I'm trying to say here. You made the point that the obstacle is the way. The obstacle is the way. I agree with that. You gave some great biblical examples of that. But one of the reasons why we expect easy, let me just get my frame right. One of the reasons why we expect easy is because we live in a world where too many of us are entitled. I see that amongst a lot of adults, but I especially see it amongst the young folk today. There is a sense that things should be easy because they have a sense of entitlement. So they're not the opposite. They are the same thing. Talk to me about this expectation that we have of ease and entitlement. But as you pointed out, that really ain't the way.
No. Entitlement is poison. It poisons your mind. It poisons your approach to life. It poisons your expectations. What are some of the obstacles? We talked about that. What are some of the obstacles? First of all, the power of perseverance. You've got to persevere. I grew up in orphanages and foster care on the mean streets of Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York. And I didn't have a lot of money. I really didn't have money to get my school supplies, but I had to figure out a way to do it myself. I wasn't waiting for them. As James Brown said, just open up the door and I'll get it myself.
Get it myself. That's it. Yeah.
I started a lemonade stand. A lemonade stand where I sold very sweet lemonade. Very sweet, because we know black people like sweet lemonade.
That's right.
But I also sold, the lemonade was 5 cents and the water was 8 cents. So I knew when people, because they drink it right at your little lemonade stand, they drank this very sweet, very tasteful lemonade, but they wanted a cup of water after it, because I know the sweetness of course makes you thirsty, and so I found a way. I persevered. Right. I opened up 3 little small businesses. Now, you remember, I'm 13, 14 years old, right? So I started a niche business of cleaning homes and cutting grass and raking leaves for elderly people. That was a niche. I made so much money doing it and I had, I'm from a family of 11, 8 boys and 3 girls. My brothers and sisters, I gave the work to them and I got the business, right? Then I started a car cleaning service, waxing service for elderly people, and that had more business than I could handle. And because I had a lot of brothers who could do the work, I paid them to do the work. And then I did something really outside of the box. Back in the day, because I'm 80 years old, back in the day, the only gender that did babysitting were young ladies. I started a male babysitting service for families that had sons that would like a young man to babysit instead of a young girl. So this is, again, the power of persevering, thinking outside of the box and making a way when there is no way. That's who we are. We are a picture and a story of that. We have spent 400 years making a way out of no way. So that's one obstacle. We must not take anything for granted. We must not feel entitled. The only thing that you are entitled to are the things that you have earned. You're entitled to the earning from those things that you have given your blood, sweat, tear, and creativity to. What's another obstacle? Self-education. Self-education is key, especially for us. I'm sitting in my office building, and if we were on a Zoom call, Tavis, behind me is my library in my office. There are 2,500 books in my office, over 10,000 in my home. I read 100 books a year. I have a vocational diploma in carpentry. That's it. Okay. I am self-educated because I fell in love with reading. And this is a real issue in our culture. The average American only reads 1 book a year. If Black people read 1 book a month, in 5 years, they will have read 60 books. The average American will have only read 5. You are going to be better prepared. So you got to be committed to lifelong learning, constant, never-ending improvement. So this is very, very important. That's an obstacle that we have to get better at. That doesn't mean all Black people don't read. Just too many of us don't read at the level that they should be reading. Then I talk about this all the time. This is where I got famous. You've got to build a strong support network. No question about that. You need mentors, you need coaches, you need older people along the way. You have to engage with others and serve them. One of the things I say when I talk about networking, if you want to meet important people, you have to be where important people are. They're not coming to you. And then find a way to add value, find a way to serve them, volunteer if you have to, but you want to be in the room, you want to be in the space, you want to be able to touch the hem of their cloth and then be in the circles in which they are. That's just a huge influence on you. So you have to build a strong support support network. I have a massive network. And listen, I believe that every great person, this is how big and broad my support network is. Every great person has at least one person who reminds them to keep their shoes tied. That's how, and that used to be my mother, right? Right, no question. So you have to understand the importance of hard work and sacrifice. Hard work and sacrifice. And you have to be patient. Hard work and sacrifice. You have to look at life. Let me give you a visual metaphor. Look at life as a steep a steep staircase, very steep staircase. And at the top of the staircase, Tavis, is your dream. You're on the first step. Now, you've got to get on the first step, right? So first things first, second things never. You got to get on the first step, do that with excellence, and then the second step becomes the next step, and eventually over time, because you're not going to climb steep staircases jumping 3, 4, 5 stairs at a time.
That's right.
It's one step at a time. That requires sacrifice, hard work, doing what we're supposed to be doing on that particular step, and then get to the next step. So this is extraordinary. These are obstacles. They're metaphorically obstacles. We've got to define success beyond money. Right now, yes, money is important. Don't get it twisted. That's one of the 7 currencies of life. Make no mistake about that. But if you're only in it for the money, you might as well be a professional Monopoly player, right? Because it's not just the money, it's the lessons. It's the lessons that we learn. It's the mistakes that we make. So we have to define success beyond money, because that is going to be the foundation for whatever legacy that you leave in life. Quick story on that. I was doing a big speech, it was in Chicago, and ABC was covering the speech. And a sister asked me if I would do a short interview with ABC after the speech. So I said, sure. So she put the microphone in my face and she said, Dr. Fraser, what would you like on your tombstone? Now, that took me back, because nobody in my life at 80 years old had ever asked me that question. So I said, wow, that's a great question. I said, let me think for a second. I said, well, a tombstone, at the top of the tombstone, Tavis, is the year you were born, then there's a dash, and then there's the year you die. The dash represents your entire body of work.
That's right.
Now, under that date is your name. And so I said, under my name, I only want 2 words. He mattered. Do you matter? To whom? And for what? And that's your personal responsibility, is to matter, right? That ultimately will be your legacy when you define what you matter for. We also have to embrace our identity. We have to embrace our cultural heritage. Make no mistake about that. We are awesome freaking people. We are God's first people. Unpack that philosophically.
Oh, yeah.
Like we were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in caves practicing cannibalism, right? Make no mistake about it. We are awesome people, but we don't know it. And so we have to study who we are, how powerful we are. I think, God's gift to humanity, and everything began with the African person. So we need that to keep us inspired and motivated, and to be less than poor at what we do, right? Because we have it like that. So we take trips to Egypt and all over Africa once a year. And I'm telling you, if people ask me all the time, Dr. Fraser, you've been to Africa 31 times. If I was only to go one time, what country would you suggest I go to? I said, you need to go to Cairo. You need to look in those pyramids and look in the Valley of the Kings and those tombs and see what's painted on those walls, right? They're blue black people. Right? They're tan people. There's every color of black that exists today on those walls. That's how awesome we are. So we must understand how powerful we are, and we must preach and teach that. So another way to say that is, I'm African centered. I'm African-centered, and we think different than Eurocentric thinking. African-centered thinking is different than Eurocentric thinking. I wrote about that in my book, Success Runs in Our Race. What is the fundamental difference between how white folks think, African and black folks think? And anybody that has that book, that whole answer to that question is on page 63. What is a Eurocentric worldview? Excuse me for expanding on this, but a Eurocentric worldview is very simple. Order is imposed by the stronger force. The stronger force gains the advantage by ordering the universe as it wishes. That's how Eurocentric people think. It's evident in their body of work historically. Now, what is the African-centered worldview? The universe is active and alive, and the laws of nature reveal the inherent order as well as the Creator's divine laws. That's worldview. Two different, entirely different worldviews. So, Eurocentric thinking, very simple. Survival of the fittest promotes a drive for mastery and control of nature and the accumulation of possessions. That's Eurocentric thinking. What is African-centered thinking? I'll finish with this. In the African-centered thinking, there is a oneness of all things in life, and life is primary and must reflect a divine nature, and group maintenance, collectiveness, and sharing are essential. So we have to understand how we think, how it's different than the way they think, act on the way that we think, and we will go back eventually to dominating the world. I mean, there are 8 billion people. There are 8 billion people in the world. Only 7% are white people. The other 93%, Tavis, are people of color.
What year? Let me ask you real quick. I'm watching my time here. What year? Remind me what year Success in Our that text came out. Success Runs in Our Race.
It came out in 2000 and hold on, 2000.
I want to say it came out before. Yeah, I thought it came out before.
Yeah. And the book is still available.
Exactly.
I wrote it about 30 years ago.
That's what I thought.
It was. I'm sorry. It came out in 2004.
Got it.
I'm sorry. It came out in 1996. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then they had a revised edition.
In 2004.
That's what you want to get. The revised edition is on 2000 in 2004.
I only asked that because I knew it came out in the 90s. I just couldn't remember what year it was. And so I asked that question about when it came out because you heard him writing in this book back in the 90s about Afrocentric thinking versus Eurocentric thinking. You heard him say, you heard him read the definition of Eurocentric thinking. And I'm just connecting the dots for you. Earlier today on this program, we talked about Stephen Miller and his quote to CNN today, that the world is governed by force and power. You recall that conversation 2 hours ago? 2 hours ago, we quoted Stephen Miller. Eurocentric thinking, that the world is governed by force and power. So we go into Venezuela, we're going to take Greenland, we're going to threaten Colombia, we're going to threaten Cuba, the world is governed by force and power, said Stephen Miller. We quoted that just earlier today on this program as a footnote to what George Fraser just said about the difference in how they think and how we think. When we come forward, since he teed it up already, we'll talk directly about the 7 critical currencies of life. That's where we'll go next with Dr. George C. Fraser on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New York City has a new fire commissioner. Mayor Zohran Mamdani swore in Lillian Bonsior, the FDNY's 37th commissioner, after 31 years in EMS.
In a city that never stops, we are the ones who stand in the gap between catastrophe and community.
Bonsior calls it the honor of a lifetime and vows to improve response times and fight for EMS pay equity. Black Democrat Mike Jones has won the special election for Virginia's Senate District 15, defeating Republican John Thomas by around 68% to nearly 33% of the vote. His victory maintains Democrats' slim majority in the state Senate. And Warner Brothers Discovery has rejected a hostile takeover bid from Paramount Skydance. The board says the offer is inferior to its $72 billion deal with Netflix to sell its streaming and studio business, urging shareholders to stick with Netflix. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are 13-5 on the road after winning at New Orleans Tuesday night, 111-103. 30 points each for LeBron and Luka Doncic. LeBron also had 8 rebounds and 8 assists in 33 minutes. The Lakers are in San Antonio tonight. LeBron will likely get the night off. At age 41, the Lakers are considering resting LeBron in the second game of back-to-back games throughout the season. The Clippers start a 3-game road trip tonight in New York against the Knicks. The Clippers have been playing a lot better lately. They are 7-1 in their last 8 games. In that stretch, Kawhi Leonard is averaging 35.4 points. This Friday at 6 p.m., Out of Bounds is moving to prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. And you can be a part of the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PATH25.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Dr. George C. Fraser, Chairman and CEO of FraserNet, author of the classic text, Success Runs in Our Race. Power networking is what he does. It's who he is. And we are always honored in the first week of this year to have him on this program to help us get our frame right for the year. You've missed a great first half hour of this program. If you missed any of it, check out the podcast. Again, it's posted later tonight. But now we push ahead as my time is getting tight on me with the 7 critical currencies of life that he teed up a moment ago. Take it away, Dr. Fraser.
Yes, I've already talked about a couple of them, but let me talk about the most important currency in life. And it's part of my talk that I wanted to give quickly on we are fortunate to be able to die.
Yes.
We are fortunate to be able to die. Why is that, Dr. Fraser? Because it means that you have become, you have overcome, I should say, millions to one odds, Tavis Smiley. That's 5 million, 10 million, 20 million sperm cells going up your mom's fallopian tube. One is strong enough, breaks away and impregnates your mom's egg, and Tavis Smiley was born. Tavis Smiley was born. Millions to one odds. Let me put that in perspective.
Yes.
The human species is 300,000 years old, as we know it, right? So if you're 50 years old, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, it means that it took 299,950 years for you to be born. To be born. And when you are born, you get the number one currency of life. You get time. Now, you don't know how much time you have, but you're given time. In fact, time is the only currency we spend, Tavis, without knowing your balance. I will tell anybody in a New York minute, do anything, but don't waste my time. I will get more money, but I will not get any more time. And I don't know how much time I have, and I don't want to know, but don't waste your time. Use your time wisely, brothers and sisters. It's like I blink my eyes and I'm 80 years old. I ain't gonna live another 80 years. Now I'm in good health. People say I don't look 80, I don't act 80, and that's because I've taken care of myself, and we'll talk about that in the currencies of life. So time is the number one currency you are privileged to have out of 300,000-year-old species. You are miraculously born. And because you're born, you get to die. That's why I say you are fortunate to be able to die, because you were born.
That's right.
Against billions to one odds. So, what is the second currency of life? I've spent my life talking about this. Relationships. The most important asset you will have in the 21st century will not be AI or your computer. It will be your relationships, brothers and sisters. It will be your relationships. In fact, business, all of us in some kind of business is about relationships. Without relationships, you have no business. Without relationships, you have no business being in business. In fact, the business you're really in, you're in the business of building relationships. Now, there's a biblical passage on this, John 5:30. It's a direct quote from Jesus Christ. Of the 800,000 words in the Bible, only 1,200 of those words are direct quotes from Jesus Christ. John 5:30. Jesus said, "I of my own self can do nothing." Now, this was Jesus, the Son of God, and he couldn't get it done on his own by himself in a vacuum. So what's up with you?
Come on, Doc.
So relationships are absolutely critical. No question about that. So that's the second most important currency. What is the third most important? I already talked about it. Knowledge. You got to be able to know something so you can do something. So you got to read. You got to be intellectually curious. You've got to be committed to lifelong learning. I'm 80 years old and I'm learning every single day. So relationships, number two. Number two was relationship. Number three was knowledge. Number four is your reputation. Screw that up. Your character, your integrity, screw that up and see what your life looks like when people turn their back and you enter the room. So protect your relationships, brothers and sisters. It's important, and that helps to protect your reputation. No question. So we said time, relationships, knowledge, reputation. What is the fifth? I've already talked about it. Resilience, your ability to bounce back. Yes, you're going to go through some stuff in life. No one is exempt, right? But you must get over that obstacle, learn the lessons, and apply the lessons and be resilient and come back. Understand this, that failing 49% of the time is still winning. right? You're still winning.
Yeah.
No mistake. So resilience, and there are endless, I can tell you endless stories that amplify that particular idea, the idea of resilience and the ability to bounce back. Now, the other one, and you can't leave it out, is one's health. Health. Now, I put it next to the seventh one, which is money and wealth, but your health is your wealth. Take care of your damn self. Absolutely. It was 40 years ago. Quick story. Tony Brown, I invited him to Cleveland to speak. And he was waiting in our green room, and he had a little packet of pills. And I went over to him. I said, what are you taking? It was about 15 pills in there, and he was taking each one. He said, well, these are supplements and vitamins because I travel a lot. I don't eat right, but I've got to supplement my body with the pills that I need. Well, that went deep into my subconscious mind. And for 40 years straight, Tavis, every single day, 7 days a week, there is no vacation, I take 22 natural supplements every single day. That's why I don't look like I'm 80. That's why I have the vim and vigor of a younger person. It's because I travel a lot. I don't really eat right, although I have a wife of 52 years who cooks wonderful meals, but I'm 80% of the time I'm not there. So I'm going to the pizza parlor, I'm going to the China, right? So you have to supplement and give your body the nutrients that it needs. That is the sixth currency of life. You could easily make it number 2 or number 1, but your health is your wealth. And the seventh and most important, if you do the first 6 right, time, proper relationships, knowledge, have a good reputation, be resilient and bounce back. If you do those things right, you're going to get wealth. You're not going to be able to get out of the way of wealth. So you have to take care of yourself so that you can use your creative powers and your skills and the knowledge that you have to produce the money necessary to live the life you want you and your family to live. Very, 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 very important. So those are the 7 currencies of life. Each of them you spend. And either you can spend them wisely or you can screw it up.
There you have it, the 7 critical currencies of life that you can spend wisely or you can screw it up, says Dr. George C. Fraser. More with him talking about your legacy or not when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. If you're struggling with mental health, you should know that there are resources out there that can help. And it's okay to talk about it if you need to. One place to get started with information is loveyourmindtoday.org. Loveyourmindtoday.org offers a range of guides, instructions, and insights for dealing with difficult situations or getting through a tough time. If you're struggling with mental health, get the help you need, because most people out here really care. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. Their max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in,
but we're okay with that.
You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Dr. George C. Fraser. We've talked about how fortunate we are to be able to die. A provocative spin, I think, on the value of life. We've talked about asking God for flowers and God giving us rain, and that the obstacle is the way. We've talked about the 7 critical currencies of life and how we can spend them wisely or foolishly. The fourth point I promised we'd get to, that Dr. Fraser teed me up on, is this notion of legacy. Your legacy or not. Talk to me, Dr. Fraser, about legacy.
Yes. To realize one's personal legacy, this is my opinion, is the person's only real obligation. That's the real obligation that you must leave, right? This is very, very important to understand. And let me just give you a scenario. Imagine 100 years from now, your great-great-great-great-grandchildren have a little library in their home, and they can go to that library and they can pull out a book that great-great-great-great-grandpa Tavis Smiley wrote of his thoughts, his challenges, how he solved those challenges. Now, you've already done that. But most of us, because we're an oral culture, I mean, we learn differently. We're oral, visual, tactile, kinesthetic, and auditory learners, okay? So we're not heavy into writing. What I'm saying to every brother and sister, especially with the tools that we have with AI today, write your damn story. Write your story. So that your great, and the lessons you learned in being your story. Write your story. Write a book. Leave that for future generations. And if each generation did that, you would have a library in your home over 100 years that will be an encyclopedia of stories from your own family members and what they learned. That's a very, very powerful thing. My father, Walter Frederick Fraser, he was an incredible human being. He was a New York City cab driver, made a fortune because he had the personality that was just, brilliant. But he had a wonderful story. And I wish that there was I wish he had written it, because I would probably read his story now, right, once a year, just to be inspired by what my father did to do what he to be what he wanted to be, and to be happy doing it, and living a very fulfilling life, 11 children, and all of them having done fairly well. So that's legacy. You will have a legacy. You have a personal responsibility. You have to determine, how do you matter, and to whom do you matter? What have you done? What are the hills and valleys that you have overcome? How did you overcome them? and leave those lessons, which is your legacy, to future and succeeding generations. This is an extraordinarily important little piece that we can do. Now, we're making movies, no question about that. We're making music, which tells stories, and music tells stories, and all of that is good. But leaving it ink on paper for all time is, I think, one of the simple things, and it is much simpler today, Tavis, than it's ever been, because you can get all the help that you want. In fact, there are apps out here today, AI apps. All you have to do is talk your story. Right? And it will make it a story for you in ways that people will love and understand and will be engaging. And some of those stories have become bestsellers. If we were on a Zoom call and you could see my library where there's over 2,000 books, you will see that 35% of the books in my library are autobiographies and biographies, people's stories. I'm very interested in how famous people, some not so famous, how they negotiated and navigated their lives. You learn from reading those stories. So you don't leave here without writing your story. I'm not talking about a 600-page book or a 200-page book, right? It could be a 100-page book, right? But there's no excuse not to be able to do it. Tell your story, leave it for future generations.
His library looks like mine. I love biographies and autobiographies. My friends know that. You come in any one of my 3 libraries, you see the same thing. Because I talk to people about everything. So I have all kinds of books, but my preference, I love the stories of how people overcame. So Dr. Fraser and I are simpatico in that regard. Our remaining moments with Dr. George C. Fraser when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. But prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA. Your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
That's right, Dr. George C. Fraser. What an hour this has been. I've got less than 3 minutes, and I want to close with this. He wrote the book, Success Runs in Our Race. He is always talking about wealth building. That is the lane, one of the many lanes, of course, that he runs in. But I'm thinking about all these black families that are facing financial crises this year because of these Affordable Care Act subsidies that are expiring. I'm thinking of all the people in a variety of fields who look like George and yours truly, who are being put upon because of the anti-black agenda that Donald Trump is running. I'm in a media space. We're not getting the kind of money that we typically get from ad agencies because everybody's turning a blind eye to DE&I. They're not advertising with black-owned media, so everybody is catching it for one reason or another in this particular moment. What's your best advice to us, George, with the 2 minutes we have left about how we navigate what we're up against, given that success does run in our race?
Wow, there's just so much going in my mind. A couple of pieces of advice. Some of them attached to the things that I talked about. Understand money.
Yeah.
When money speaks, no one checks the grammar. Okay, so make sure that you put yourself in a position for your money to speak, because it will be a power source for you. The other one is a wish that I have, and I wish that our sisters would leave this idea that they would rather have a baby than to be a wife. They would rather have a baby than to be a wife. That is destructive, and we need to fix that. Make no mistake about that. Finally, very simply, I want to say, I talked about I asked for flowers and God gave me rain, but understand this, that water has no effect on fake flowers. So whatever you're doing to build your flowers, make sure it's real, make sure it means something. And finally, a meta thought. If you can't build with them, don't chill with them. Right? That's the bottom line, and that's up to you. You got to deliver yourself from still people. Still complaining, still about nothing, still doing nothing. You got to deliver yourself from that. Those are fundamental things that are easy to remember, and then just check yourself before you wreck yourself. That's the bottom line.
Mic drop. If you can't build with them, don't chill with them. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. He closed it as he always does. Dr. George C. Fraser, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm grateful to you and thankful for you. Appreciate this time. I will talk to you soon, my friend. All the best to you.
I love you more, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I love it. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until then, thanks for listening to Tavis Smiley, and as always, keep the faith.